$85 billion worth of energy. That's how much energy is locked up within you. And you can take that energy and you can send that energy in any direction that you want. Now, how are you utilizing that energy? That's what we're talking about in this month's newsletter. How are you directing it? Because how you direct it will ultimately end in the results that you have in your life. It's only impossible if you see it that way.
Much of what we call impossible are nothing but that, illusions, false beliefs we've inherited, and unfortunately those beliefs prevent us from achieving what we really want.
Hey, I'm Anders and I'm here to help you overcome your self-limiting mental illusions so that you can step out and create the goals you so rightfully desire and deserve. Hi there, this is Anders Hansen and welcome to this month's edition of Insights to Impossible. I help you overcome your limiting mental illusions so that you can step out and create quantum leap results in your life and in your business and in your career. In this month's newsletter, you will receive the entire framework of what it means to get this year off to a rocking start. In other words, how to set and achieve the right type of goals, and you will learn my secret recipe that I have used for years to take what I've learned in the past year and apply it successfully to this year that I find myself in. And that technique, hands down, has been responsible for me being able to go from one quantum leap to the next, and it will for you as well. You will also receive some free tools and techniques that will help you get this year off to a rocking start. So if you're ready, let's get started. We are in 2022 and this is a great time for you to really sit down and chart a clear course. In other words, setting goals. Now, goal setting is something we hear a lot about, we talk a lot about, but I actually do think not a whole lot of people understand what it really means. There's three criteria that you and I have to keep in mind as we set these goals and as we set out on a course to achieve them. One, we don't even set the goal to get it. That will be the byproduct. We set the goal to grow into it. In other words, we set the goal to become the person who achieves it. That's the first criteria. The second criteria is that it needs to be something you really want. Most people set goals based on what they need. There's very little inspiration, there's very little personal growth attached. So you want to make sure you set the goal based on what you really want, not what you think your family wants of you, etc., but what you really want. You see, there's three types of goals. There's a goal that you know how to go after. That's usually last year's performance. There's the goal that you think you can do. That's when you stretch and you try and calculate your way through it. And then there's the third one, what you really want. And that's what I'm talking about here in the second point. It has to be something you really want. And the last criteria, you cannot know how to get it. If it's a good goal, if it's a true stretch goal, you won't know how. And that is where most people get into trouble because their rational mind, their intellect kicks in and tells them it's silly, it's just fantasy. But that's where everything begins. As somebody who spent 20 years in the entertainment industry producing and performing illusions for a living, I can tell you that everything that's created in this world is created twice. First in the imagination and secondly in the physical objectified world. My job for 20 years was to go to a place that was impossible and then work my way backwards. And you should do the same thing with the tools and the strategies that you are receiving in this month's newsletter. It will enable you to do exactly that. So really allow yourself to let your mind flow freely. Is it a personal goal? Is it a professional goal? Is it a health goal? What is it that you really, really want? Maybe spend some time on it. Watch this video multiple times. You see, a goal, it's not something you find. It's something you become aware of. Your soul and my soul, we came here with a purpose. We came here with something so much bigger than ourselves for us to live out. And when I say I have to find my goal, I imply that it's a process that happens through my senses. It never happens through the senses. It's something you become aware of from within. So if you're unclear of what you really would love, use your subjective mind for your own benefit. Give yourself an affirmation, something like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have become aware of my dream goal to great benefit of myself, my family, and the world around me. Something like that. I was broke, I was sick, I was very unhappy when I sat down and set goals in my life for the very first time. Up until then, if somebody had asked me, Anders, what is your goal? I would have thought they would be talking about soccer or something. It never dawned on me that I had the mental faculties that enabled me to sit down and create the life I wanted. But we all can. Nobody has more potential than others. You have the same than everybody else has, and that is called infinite. I don't know how much that is, but I do know for sure it's more than we are expressing today. I sat down when I had an eviction notice on my door, and I sat down and I wrote, I'm going to be financially free. I wanted to work with the best in the world in personal development. I wanted to collaborate with the person and co-create something, and today I have. But not by accident. When I was at my low point in my life, I decided that that was what I was going to do. So never let conditions and circumstances hold you from setting those types of wants goals. You have everything that it takes. You just need to learn how to bring more of you to the surface, more of your potential to the surface. And as you do, greater results start to happen. I went from turning my annual income into a monthly in 11 months. It was such a shocking result. I had a hard time believing what the heck happened to me. I went from my blood test telling me things weren't too great till today, much improvement on all levels, and on it goes. But not by accident. That was goals before they became reality. So right now is a good time for you to sit back and reflect. Last year was a great year when we decide to look for the good in it. You learned something last year. You were in situations that either caused you to grow bitter or better, that caused you to develop more of your rich resources, and you might have been faced with challenges, situations that on the surface didn't seem too pleasant, but the more you decided to look for the good in it, the more good you found. Or maybe you didn't make that conscious choice, maybe you just realized in hindsight that you learned something. So now's a good time for you to sit down and write down 5 things that you learned from last year. What were some of those great learning lessons? I learned a lot on a personal level, on a professional level, going from having live physical events to conducting and producing virtual events literally overnight. We became very good at it, and we learned a lot by doing it because we had to. What did you learn last year that caused you to develop you? Write that down. 5 things that you learned, lessons that you learned last year. So put this video on pause and actually do this. It's very rewarding. Now the second point here is to find gratitude for 5 conditions, things, circumstances, people in your life that came into your life. Sit down and find gratitude for 5 situations, people, circumstances that you experienced in 2021. That's the second step. All right, so do that right now. And the third step is for you to sit down and list 3 accomplishments that you had last year. What were they? Personal accomplishments, professional accomplishments, accomplishments that shaped you into who you are today. Why are they important, and how did they turn you into the one you are today? List that for each one. Why are they important, and how did that accomplishment make you who you are today? Actually do this. It's very rewarding, simple, not as easy. Put me on pause and do it right now. Now that you have effectively changed your perception, because that is exactly what this technique helps you do. You see, nothing is good or bad. Things just are. It's our perception of it. It's our emotional assignment to it that makes it what it is. So as you change your perception, you start looking for the good in it, and you start recognizing the strength and the person you've become as a result. Now it's a matter of taking all those accomplishments, those learning lessons, and transferring them effectively into this new year, 2022. And that is where goal setting comes back into the picture. Did you know that January 8th is actually the National Vision Board Day? That's right. January 8th is the National Vision Board Day. That is a great day for you and I to sit down and actually build the picture of what we want. So as we harness all the good that was in 2021, we're now sitting down and we're asking ourselves, what would we love? What would we actually love to experience in 2022? Remember, 1, the goal is not even to get it, it's to grow. 2, it has to be something you really want. And 3, you cannot know how to get it. If those 3 criteria are there in play when you set these goals, it's great goals. But a vision board, it's a wonderful thing because it opens up your mind to infinite possibility. And in this month's newsletter, we have linked to a vision board template. There's one in Danish, there's one in English. So whichever language you prefer. And the second gift, if you're in Denmark, is a 5 days training we have in January called 5 Days to a Successful 2022. So if you're in Denmark and you speak Danish, og du taler dansk, så tilmeld dig vores 5-dages træning, 5 dage til succesfuld 2022. Tilmeldingen er lige her nedenunder. You and I both require motivation and inspiration. You see, inspiration and motivation is what gets us going. It's the right tools and the discipline that makes us keep going. All right, and that's where the vision board template and the 5-day training, if you're in Denmark, that's where all of that comes into play. Now, I'm going to share with you a story, and we're going to link to that as well in this month's newsletter. But that story is from Vibeke. She's in our community, and she shares a story about how she went from being suicidal, contemplating taking her own life, going from that to a successful business owner, utilizing these tools and these techniques that we teach. She's a very successful person. She is an avid student of this material, and her story is very, very heartwarming. It's very inspirational because it speaks to the fact that everybody has greatness locked up within them. Did you know that you represent $85 billion worth of energy? That's right. You see this light bulb? It will light up according to the size of the bulb. It will not light up according to the power that flows to it. Isn't that interesting? The light bulb lights up according to the size of the bulb. It's the same with you. $85 billion worth of energy. That's how much energy is locked up within you. And you can take that energy and you can send that energy in any direction that you want. Now, how are you utilizing that energy? That's what we're talking about in this month's newsletter. How are you directing it? Because how you direct it will ultimately end in the results that you have in your life. And the most important part, will you make your vision board and will you decide before the light runs out? Now, of course, I'm not talking about the light in this light bulb. I'm talking about the light within you. You are an infinitely valuable human being, and you can provide massive value to the world when you set out and decide on what you want to be, to do, to have in this world. By the very fact that you sit down and decide, you will be inspiring everybody around you to do the same thing. If we don't set out on a journey to clearly define our goals, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, we're dying. Maybe not physically, but definitely spiritually. And there's a lot of people, they're clinically alive, but they're totally dead inside. Nothing is going on because they're not charting a clear course and then sticking to it. That is my hope for this month, that you are really seriously entertaining the importance of. So even if you have goals, maybe it's time to revise them. Have you clearly identified the one goal you want more than anyone else? Have you sat down and done your vision board of all the experiences you'd love to have in your life? And also make sure that you sign up for our 5-day training if you're in Denmark. And if you're in our English speaking world, then we have another English speaking training coming up for you in February. So a lot of great things coming up. Make sure you stay dialed in to our community. Share this video with friends and family that you believe would benefit from it as well. And as always, like the video and subscribe to our channel. I wish you a wonderful January, the beginning of this new year, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you in a program, in one of our Facebook groups, and in our Real Magic community. This is Anders Hansen. Bye for now. I really hope that you took a lot of valuable insight away from this video today.
And to make sure you stay updated in terms of everything Real Magic World, including programs and live events, make sure that you enable your notifications and most importantly, subscribe to this channel so that you will be the first to know.